Hey, what's up? I'm Alex and welcome to my channel where I talk about tech stuff, apps, services, gadgets, internet things, and so on. If your job involves using computer, chances are some tasks are repetitive. Thus, routine tasks can become tedious. I find the work more enjoyable when I innovate, create, and discover new efficient problem-solving methods. Here, automation can assist. It's an excellent way to boost efficiency and minimize errors. The ability to identify patterns and automate them is beneficial in any activity. For instance, if you start your workday by launching a set of applications, arranging them on your screen in a certain way, and checking your email or Slack messages, automation can save you time. You can then use the saved time to more productive or enjoyable tasks. Alright, let's begin. Since my primary workhorse is a MacBook, in this video I'll be discussing applications that can be used to automate routine tasks in macOS. In this video, I have compiled all the apps with which you can automate practically everything you do on your Mac. I'll say up front, the most of those apps I'll be talking about today deserve a full in-depth review, which I plan to do in future. Subscribe so you don't miss out. Automation involves the data we want to interact with, a trigger to initiate the process, and a set of actions to perform on that data. And this is what differentiates the applications. Some are more deeply integrated into system, some have larger set of actions, and so on. But in the simple way, that's how it works. macOS is an excellent operation system for automation. That is thanks to its 4 built-in tools that require no installation: shell scripts, Apple scripts, automator, and Siri Shortcuts. And let's start with the fact that practically everything you want to automate in your system can be done using shell scripts or Apple scripts. Both of these tools require programming skills or ability to use ChatGPT. I'm serious, with the widespread adoption of LLM models, writing scripts has become much easier. Just ask ChatGPT what you want to automate, and chances so big you can do it just using Apple scripts or shell scripts. So, shell scripts and Apple scripts are certainly good, but the learning curve is quite high, and that's why Apple created Automator, where in graphical interface you can interact with the complex automations. When you launch it, you're asked to choose the type of your automation. That can be workflow. This type of automation can be launched from Automator interface. Application: a full-fledged application that you can attach to the dock or launch from the applications folder. Quick action: something we can run when we select objects and choose the context menu. For example, we can create a quick action to resize images or change the format of audio files. Print plugin: these are macros that can be activated from print dialog. I have no idea how this can be used. Let me know in comments if you have any ideas. Folder action: the trigger for running your set of actions in change in the folder. For example, when you move files into the folder, the file will change format and be renamed as needed. Under alarms: this is quite interesting, as we can schedule the execution of certain actions at a specific time, and the actions will be displayed in a calendar. For example, we can schedule the sending of notifications via email. Image capture: to be honest, I've never used that, but I suspect that's for photographers or those who have to scan documents. This can be useful. Let me know if you have any ideas how to use this. Dictation commands: we can activate a certain set of actions by voice. Let's take a look at the set of actions available for us. We can manage calendar, events, contacts, and developer-related things. The most useful is probably file management. We can search for files, filter, archive, rename, and so on. We can also work with a web page, display, download exact articles, download images, and so on. For example, if we call a page, select text, and then work with that text. Email: we can search for emails, create new emails, filters, and so on. Movies: you can convert video files. Music: you can flexibly manage your media library, play playlists, and so on. PDF: we can create new ones and convert existing ones, combine, split, add watermarks, and so on. Photos: the large set of actions, including some added by third-party applications like Pixelmator's upscaling feature. Presentations: We can work with the keynote presentations. Text. We can extract data from text, create new files, combine them, and so on. Utilities. Here are actions that allow you to create complex scripts, including shell and Apple scripts variables and the ability to call other workflows. Here's some ideas for workflows. Organizing files in a download folder. Creating a folder structure for a project. Batch file conversion. Organizing your photo library. Organizing your music. Resizing images before sending, creating, editing, and encrypting PDF files, AutoClicker, and visual programming. Automator also has a handy feature, macro recording. If you need to do something repetitive, you can record it once and then use a loop to repeat it as many times as you need. A kind of GUI programming, but if it gets job done, why not? So you basically can just run this record button and then you can save those actions. The next logical continuation of Automator is Siri Shortcuts. The advantages are that you can run them not only from the computer but also from iPhone or from Apple Watch. You can find example of simple commands if you open the gallery, and from there you can also install the commands you like. I can also recommend the website routinehub.com. It's a library of shortcuts there you can find really complex shortcuts. By the way, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next video on automation in which I'll talk about my favorites. It's like a newer tool if we compare to the Automator, but it lacks the features like a scheduled scripts, execution, and folder monitoring, and so on. But the advantage is that many applications already have shortcuts support, and if you can find specific actions, you open the Apps tab. It has good support of built-in applications, notes, reminders, mail, and so on. There's the ability to create loop-dependent logics, and that is, there are all components to create really complex scenarios. The only problem, in my opinion, is that there's not so many triggers. It's a manual launch of scripts, and if you're talking about an iPhone, you can set automatic scripts launch based on context. For example, I have automatic VPN activation when the iPhone connects to the Gyms network and deactivation when I connect to the home network, and this functionality is very much lacking in macOS. But there's a third-party application, Shortery, comes to the rescue. It allows you to run shortcuts automatically using various triggers such as calendar events, appearance change, audio events, wake up, and sleep. And take a look at those triggers you can use to run shortcuts. Overall, it's pretty useful for $10 per year, which expands the functionality of the shortcuts. Toolbox Pro. It's a huge set of additional actions, to be precise. There's 130 of them. There's a lot of useful functionality there. If you can't find the action you need in standard application, check out the Toolbox Pro. And if you see that some actions duplicate those in standard application, they're likely here because they work better and have more functionality. I would also note that the application has originally created for iPhone and iPad, but it also works on macOS, and for the next application it was originally created for macOS. And the competitor of the Toolbox Pro is Actions. There's also a set of actions that expand the functionality. Here I think there are some actions that are not in Toolbox and vice versa, so definitely worth the check. If you feel quite confident and you can already create fairly complex shortcuts, the DataJar are maybe useful for you. In simple terms, it's a data repository that you can access from your shortcuts and also modify this data. In other words, it's like global variables or database. For example, you can create a shortcut that checks a website for an item you're interested in and record the price in the DataJar database. Not only recording it, but also comparing it to previous values, and if price dropped to a certain level, performing actions you've selected. Nautomate. If you use Notion like me, check out Nautomate. It's a set of actions for Notion. As we can see, Nautomate allows you to automate practically everything related to Notion, and you don't need to have to bother with the API. BetterTouchTool. This is one of the earliest automation applications I've installed on my Mac. I've been using it for over 10 years, and during these years the application has continued to actively improve. What is these applications and what is uniqueness? It's simple. With its help, you can customize practically every millimeter of your trackpad or magic mouse, every button of your keyboard or mouse. For example, when I press the corner of the trackpad, the window under the cursor moves to the corner of the screen. Or for example, when I tap with the two fingers on the window close button, it closes the applications, it quits the application. Or another application, I can assign single tap on the magic mouse to work as a trackpad. You don't need to press, you can just tap. The possibilities are endless. Now we'll quickly look at the triggers and actions we can assign, but there will be a full video about BetterTouchTool on the channel, so if you haven't subscribed yet, now is the best time to do so. So BetterTouchTool can work with a trackpad, magic mouse, keyboard shortcuts, key sequences, interface elements, specific system events, can also be triggers, mouse gestures, notch bars. In general, the possibilities are endless, and this application really allows you to customize your Mac as you see fit. To give you understanding, you can assign the execution of the certain actions to change in the ambient light. In general, if you want to use Mac to the fullest, install these applications and you won't regret it. Keyboard Maestro. When we first launch it, we see that the interface is very similar to Automator. And here too, we can compose our workflow by assembling a sequence of blocks. But the main difference is that there are many more different triggers, actions, and deeper integrations into system with much wider range of actions. Just look at this list of triggers. Here's, for example, there's a ability to monitor device or monitor connections. That is, you can set up logic for Windows placement on the screen depending on which monitors are connected. Now look at the list of actions. It's just an endless list. With a Keyboard Maestro, you can automate almost everything. For example, here you can manage windows, move, resize, and so on. There's a clipboard manager, work with the text as a text expander, and much more. If you feel any limitations, you can simply add a block with a shell or Apple script. In general, if you find that you cannot do something using all previous applications, then Keyboard Maestro will most likely help you. Keyboard Cowboy. I recently stumbled upon this application. The first thing that caught my attention was the interface. It's quite nicely designed, however, since it's a new application, the functionality is not as rich compared to previous one. Here we can see that are only 3 triggers: start or activation of certain applications, keyboard shortcuts, and snippets or sequence of the keys. From available actions we can perform the following: up launch, execution of the menu bar, interaction with UI elements, opening URLs, accessing the file system elements such as folder or files, executing keyboard shortcuts, launching shortcuts, running scripts, shell scripts, or Apple scripts, inserting text. Additionally, we can activate the last use application, interact with Windows, utilize basic window management functionalities, functions, execute mouse commands and built-in commands, record and delete macros. As we can see, if you don't need to make some complicated scenarios, you can use the Keyboard Cowboy. Additionally, this app is free, and I hope the developer will continue to improve this app, as a competition is always a good thing. Hammerspoon. The Hammerspoon app is a powerful automation tool for macOS that allows users to write Lua scripts to interact with the various system APIs, including applications, windows, mouse pointers, file system objects, audio device, and more. The app provides a range of features and functionality, including ability to watch for application launch and terminate events, manipulation of the system audio device, inspection and manipulation of audio device and data sources, registration of callbacks for URLs, events, and their parameters, flexible way to receive events from other applications. Timer functionality includes repeating timers that can be paused when the computer sleeps. I think this app will be perfect for those who are good at programming, because it will be their familiar environment where you can automate everything you want without writing Lua code. The application is free, there's example of use on the site, so if you want, you can try your strength in writing scripts. And the next one, Karabiner Elements. This is not typical for automation of the applications, but it allows you to do pretty cool things. For example, to remap the standard keyboard keys and reassign them some sequence of actions. Well, we can make a hyper key using, for example, caps lock and assign it as Shift, Control, Option, Command keys. This combination is not used anywhere, and we can use that hyper key to run some commands that we need. Also, the Karabiner element allows you to assign certain keys, sequence of actions that we need, and this is also very useful, and it's more similar to what we saw early. I strongly recommend you to try it if you are interested. It's pretty convenient application if you assign the button as we need. Punch allows you to create presets for your activities. For example, if you are recording videos, you can create presets that launch a specific set of applications you need. You can combine the applications launch with the window manager, ensuring the applications are placed in the right order on the screen. This is quite convenient, so you can switch between those presets. Applications not found in the presets will be simply closed. You don't need to worry about manual cleaning or closing applications you don't need in this workflow. It's a pretty convenient feature, so be sure to try it. There's a contextual sets can be launched through the applications like Raycast, allowing you to access them much faster. Raycast. And finally, my favorite is Raycast. I have already recorded a video on the channel if you want to see it. There was a review of the capabilities. Raycast is not just launcher, it's an application that allows you to automate, connect various plugins, control windows, and manage the clipboard, and so more. In my setup, Raycast is a key application to which I connect existing applications that I reviewed above. For example, through the Raycast, I can run Siri Shortcuts. I can also run keyboard Maestro macros. Additionally, I can combine Raycast with a BetterTouchTool to perform certain actions using a trackpad. By combining various applications, we can create flexible settings tailored to our needs. Well, I guess that's it. I've tried to put together all the most comprehensive list of apps that will allow you to automate everything you want to automate in your daily activities. Thank you for watching. See you in next videos. Bye.